number 9 of high school football and the Web Insurance Countdown to Kickoff on 1150 WIMA. Todd Walker here. Jason Aldrich and Mike Miller join me for the roundtable segment as already week number 9. Woo. Things are very much starting to come into focus as far as the playoff possibilities. And it's coming down to the wire as far as our picks, gentlemen. Last week, as we reviewed things, it was another good week for the Ottoville Rocket. That would be Mr. Miller. Last week went 4-1. Not the boldly predicted 5-0.
Around the table, yeah. I think I took Bath.
You went 4-1.
Yeah, I took Bath.
Yours truly and Jason both 3-2. So the Week 8 standings: Walker 31-9. Aldrich 27-13, Miller 26-14.
Got you by a game yet.
I understand.
So 2 weeks to go as we review last week's picks. We were all on Ottawa-Glandorf. We got that one right. We were all on Spencerville. We got that one right. Then we had some disagreements. Miller taking Bath, Aldrich and Walker the correct pick with Elida. Then we had Aldrich and Miller taking Shawnee. I took Defiance. I missed. And then in the MAC, the St. John's Marion local game, Miller, or I should say Coldwater Marion local, Miller got it right with the Flyers. Aldrich and Walker missed with the Cavaliers. As we look back to the big games from last week, we'll start with that one. Marion local, we'll hear from their coach Tim Goodwin coming up, but really 3 goal line stands, an interception in the end zone, a missed field goal, and just a stop. Saved that win for Marion local. A huge clutch defensive performance.
Big time. I frankly don't. And Tim Goodwin, who we spoke with on Coach's Corner last Saturday morning, he almost couldn't believe they won the game. Quite frankly, there were really some breaks, and Coldwater had some great opportunities to punch it in. The fact they never punched it in just thoroughly bewildered Chip Ott and the Coldwater coach. But defense certainly the name of the game there, and Marion local gets it done. They've got their Bertkey. I think it's Adam Bertkey, their quarterback. He's only a sophomore. He's a tough as nails little player. So at the end of the day, a great win for Marion local. Anytime he could beat the Jays.
One of our other pick games last week, Bath Elida. The game heard here on WIMA. It looked like Elida in firm control. Bath scores, onside kick. Bath scores, onside kick. Bath scores. Elida gets a field goal at the gun to win it 31-28, a real classic.
Yeah, no question about it. Of course, I picked Bath. I went for the home cooking thing. I felt maybe they could do the ball control. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Some have suggested the Elida meltdown may be a forerunner that Elida was sort of about that game, but Elida's losing their edge, that they're going to just slide into the postseason and roll over and not be a factor for maybe some other reasons. So stay tuned to that.
Yeah, I think some people, I wouldn't call it a meltdown. I mean, Bath scored and got a nice break on a couple onside kicks. I wouldn't call it a meltdown, but I have heard people questioning whether they might lose their focus, and I think most people's speculation would focus on the quarterback position because of their quarterback, Reggie McAdams. When does he fully turn to basketball mentally? Is he already there? If he is, they're going to have trouble in the postseason, no question about it. But if he isn't, they're formidable.
No question. You know, and hopefully not. I understand that. It can happen. There's effectively 1 game to go, and although Elida looks like a good shot at the playoffs, but you know, let's hope he and others, sometimes it happens with basketball guys, they check out on football right near the end of the season for obvious reasons.
Well, let's get to this week's picks. As we look at the games on this week's schedule, I guess we can start with our game, Elida and Salina. Salina has proven to be able to score points this year, but they don't stop anybody. And as we look at this battle of Bulldogs, will Elida be fully focused? Will the sloppy conditions throughout the week have an effect on tonight's game? I just can't not pick Elida to win this game because Salina has only 1 win, so I'm taking Elida.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to build off what you're suggesting, though, that this is a sort of a trap game for Elida because Salina has scored points against almost everybody of this year, and you know, it's home cooking. It's their final home game, that sort of thing. They finally tasted a win here a few weeks ago. I think this is a very dangerous game for Elida, but it would surely be an upset if Elida doesn't get it done. And for those reasons, I'm going to have to stay with Elida.
I would think, too, that in this battle of Bulldogs, that Elida, just as recently as the game we were just talking about last week, has proven they can win shootout games. And if it comes down to that tonight, I think they'll win this one going away.
So we're all going to take Elida. Let's move on to Wapakoneta at Shawnee. You can hear that game on 107.5 WZRX. Mike will have the call. And Shawnee, very impressive win last week at Defiance after an impressive win over Salina. Maybe they have figured some things out after their mid-season doldrums. Do they have enough to knock off the Redskins tonight in Shawnee?
Probably not. Collectively, I think Shawnee's style is a pretty physical style. They bring it, they battle, certainly with the big quarterback Rosenbauer, who's got a better than average arm, and he's a playmaker in his own way. But I understand that they've got some injuries on their defensive side of the football, and to me that's a big problem for Shawnee. If they're defensively not completely up to par, then they're going to be back on their heels because I think Wapakoneta offense is turning into a juggernaut of sorts. It's so capable now with their abilities to throw and open their attack, and we know how strong they are with the straight wing tee power running game. So I'm going to have to pick Wapakoneta, but I think this game could be interesting into the second half, simply because Shawnee has momentum. They're a pretty decent team. They're a legit 500 club, and the rivalry aspect. Don't undersell Shawnee Wapakoneta. As we like to say, there's no love involved in this matchup.
The whole thing about Wapakoneta tonight, guys, I think, is not looking ahead. Us in the media, the fans, we can all look ahead to Week 10 and their matchup with Kenton. Not going to be a case for them tonight, I don't believe, and I think Wapakoneta will win this game.
Yeah, obviously they can't look ahead, and I think the Shawnee rivalry aspect will prevent that. Mike's right. There's been this has been a good rivalry over the years, and I think Shawnee will give them a fight tonight, but I'm going to take Wapakoneta. Our third pick from the Western Buckeye League tonight, Bath at Ottawa Glandorf. Going to be a couple of similar styles, and they like to pound you and run that football when they can. Can Bath bounce back from the disappointment last week? Can OG continue yet another playoff run? It's up at Titan Stadium. Mike, who you got?
I'm going to have to pick the home team. I think the Titans have rebounded from the Kenton Walpock back-to-back losses. They had that nice win at Elida. They had a nice win last week, and I suspect their long-term motivation is enough to get them through this game. Bath really had their final shot last Friday night against Elida to qualify for a Week 11 game, and because of that, I'm saying OG is going to put it to Bath tonight. That Bath is in checkout mode.
Thinking about going to the coin here. I thought about it. I'm going to tuck it away for now.
Oh.
I'm going to go with Ottawa Glandorf at home.
Yeah, I'm taking the Titans too. I think Bath will have a problem bouncing back from the disappointment, and I think the Titans are at that point where they get almost every season where they've got it figured out. And I just think at this point they're better than Bath. They're more motivated. They're at home. No reason to not take the Titans. Let's move to the Northwest Conference. Ada at Jefferson tonight. The Bulldogs looking to continue a chance to tie for that MWC title with their showdown at LCC next week. Jeff Catch looking to play spoiler and get back over 500. The game's at Stadium Park. Mike, what you got in this one?
Ada certainly is the obvious pick in this game with their skill talent, but the Jefferson Wildcats are a pretty roughhouse team. I mean, they're not afraid to mix it up and battle. And the other question that might be sort of a leveling factor tonight over at Stadium Park is the field conditions.
Right.
All the rain we had through Wednesday and certainly yesterday, how much is it going to affect the field over at Stadium Park? And could it be even really worse for tomorrow night with St. John's and Marion Local? It's very close. I'm tempted to go for the home team, the Jefferson Wildcats, but I want to finish big in this pool at the end, so I'm going to have to pick Ada.
Ada's got way too much offensive firepower. They'll win this game, at least according to my pick.
You know what? I'm somewhat with Mike. I think Jefferson's a bit of a dangerous opponent. but I still think Ada can really score in bunches. I don't think that Jefferson can match that, so I'm going to have to take Ada. No, I'm taking Ada. And our final game tonight, which will probably break the unanimity we've had to this point, Marion Local at Delphos St. John's. That game, of course, to be played tomorrow night at Stadium Park. And both teams have played Coldwater. St. John's lost, Marion Local won. But the stats are all very similar, and that's going to really determine the MAC championship. Will it be a three-way tie, or will it be Marion Local all by themselves?
You know, and the Jays, it looks like they might be getting their offense figured out a little bit. They had some success against Fort Recovery in that interim game since Coldwater, and I know their defense is good, but I'm going to have to pick Marion Local on the road. I don't think the home field's going to be a factor. I think it's going to be an equally crappy field for both teams, frankly. Sure. Just simply with a hunch that Marion Local feels like maybe this is their year, although every year's their year also. I mean, they're kind of like St. John's. They're always in the playoffs. They always are in the battle for the MAC title. The MAC will not be a three-way deal. Marion Local's going to win it this year, and tomorrow night we'll settle the issue. I'm taking Marion Local.
Well, it's here. We might as well use it.
Comes the coin flip for all these.
Heads, Delphos St. John's. Tails, Marion Local. It's heads. Delphos St. John's will win at home.
All right. I'm taking the Flyers. I think that the win over Coldwater last week is just a bellwether for them. I think it's going to feed their confidence. This will obviously be a low-scoring game because the defenses are good. The field conditions will be bad. But I'm taking Marion Local to win that one. So that wraps up our roundtable segment. Got our picks recorded. We'll see how we do next week when we wrap up the regular season. The Web Insurance Countdown to Kickoff continues next. We'll hear from Todd Schulte and Tim Goodwin and more when we come back on 1150 WIMA.